Thank you for joining NMH at 1, where we highlight the news-making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, GIPF top job race heats up. Finance executive sues Namcor to retain job. NBC receives 392 million Namibian dollars in funding from the government. I am Ashwin Berry and this is NMH at 1. In today's midday news update, Namibian Rugby Union player Orbert Nokia has called it quits on his career due to medical reasons. At just 25 years of age, Nokia made 23 appearances for Namibia, including the 2019 Rugby World Cup in Japan. However, his career has thus far been hampered by a medical condition which forced him to miss numerous games and sadly now retiring for good. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
Sport Wrap is a daily show focusing on all sport news and current affairs. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact sportwrap@synergy.com.ma.
NAMRA Commissioner Sam Shivute this morning during the agency's Authorized Economic Operator program said that one entity cannot make a success of this program. NAMRA is joined by the Southern African Customs Union on this venture. AEO allows authorized economic traders to be assessed and approved by customs administrations as complying with the supply chain security standards. Elizabeth Joseph reports.
That's for us, all of us, to work together with the private sector, hold hands, because that which we would want to achieve to provide, bring about improved service delivery efficiency, reduced cost, streamlined custom clearance procedure cannot be achieved only if it's only one entity that is focused on the implementation of the program. Because when you get at the border, you have Namibia Economic Board, Meat Board, Ministry of Agriculture, Home Affairs. So all of us, we need to come together with our private sector, we hold hands and we move in the same direction. Now that I've told you that we are very committed and serious about becoming a world-class revenue agency, and that's why we are adopting a number of these international best practices and custom modernization programs. We are adopting them at a very higher speed. That's one, and that is a testimony that we are very committed to become world-class revenue agency. I have briefly shared with you these wonderful benefits that we can get.
Now, speaking at the same event, Southern African Customs Union Executive Secretary Thabo David Kasipe stated that customs is a key node in the value chain of businesses in various industries. He advised business people in Namibia to take advantage of the Authorized Economic Operator program, which he said is aimed at ensuring that SACU becomes competitive. He made these remarks at the private sector engagement hosted by the Namibia Revenue Agency.
We basically invite the business community within Namibia to take advantage of this program. It is meant to ensure that we collectively as SACU become competitive. As SACU, our role is coordinators through the Secretariat. It is to build a region-wide AEO program by linking the various individual programs in the member states, because they are there now, as I've indicated. What we are now moving into going forward, based on a council decision in June last year, is to now start linking these programs into a single program so that we will end up with a region-wide program with mutual recognition agreements signed between the various member states, so that you can know as a business that once accredited by NAMRA, I am automatically accredited in Eswatini. I'm automatically accredited in Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho. When you get there, once you have made your declaration this side, you get the same VIP treatment on the other side. So you see, this then becomes a tool towards enabling the building of regional value chains. Because once we then remove all the obstacles for intra-SACU trade, we then enable the SACU team to go to that tournament in Africa, the AFCFTA, and become competitive and come back with a trophy. Because if we can remove all these obstacles, we reduce your cost of operations, we make sure that you become competitive in terms of the price that you will offer, you become also competitive in terms of the quality. Because a lot of the time, quality is compromised by some of these interruptions that happen in your value chains, particularly the one at customs. So that is the next phase that we're looking at, ensuring that we build a region-wide sort of framework that will allow a mutual recognition across the region. We also are using digitization as a very key instrument to enable that to happen as seamlessly as possible, so that again, it really becomes geared towards the idea of making you, in fact, even forget that there is a customs you have to deal with. Because once you have done the good work and you have demonstrated good track record in terms of compliance, you then are accredited and you enjoy the benefits, because again, it's us saying we are incentivizing good conduct. We are incentivizing compliant behavior.
Jennifer Commerly withdrew her interest in the Development Bank of Namibia CEO position just hours before she was arrested on Monday. An update on this story follows in the newspaper review segment.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go! We Talk brings you community news that lies at the heart of Windhoek residents. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact wetalk@synergy.com.na. You live, we talk.
Heading into the newspaper review, the Namibian Sun's front page reports that City of Windhoek bean counter Jennifer Commerly withdrew her interest from the Development Bank of Namibia CEO position just hours before she was arrested on Monday morning over drug dealing allegations. It is a confidential process. She withdrew from the interviews and interviews were conducted. She withdrew early Monday morning. No reasons were given. A Development Bank of Namibia board chairperson Sarah van Zyl said on yesterday. Now, he would not divulge further information, only adding that the recruitment process was ongoing. A lot of stuff still needs to be done, he said. On page 3, the Blood Transfusion Service of Namibia on Tuesday hosted a tour through its facilities, hoping to create awareness of the importance of blood donation. The blood bank revealed that its main source of income is from the Ministry of Health, but added that it has not received payment for units of blood given to the ministry this month. It is important for our recipients to pay on time because this is the money we use for salaries and chemicals needed for testing the blood before transfusions. Republican informs that Mines Minister Tom Alwendo says locals should not accuse the government of selling mining claims to foreigners at the expense of Namibians because it is the locals themselves who are guilty of this practice. Alwendo made the remarks during a recent community meeting held in Uis in the Irongo region. This follows allegations of illegal mining activities at the hands of Chinese mining company Xingfeng Investments. The company has come under increasing pressure that it is not abiding by Namibia's mining laws amid a blanket export allowance of lithium ore to China. Alwendo said the mining claiming system, while good in its intentions, was being abused by Namibians who sell their claims to foreigners. On page 3, for the first time in the town's history, Afrikaans rappers have the opportunity to showcase their talent on their home soil. The Afrikaans rap battle will be held this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. at La Palace in Rehoboth. Now on its front page, the Agomana Zeitung focuses on a new report in National Geographic magazine that says that Recon Africa has once again violated the rules it set itself, this time by laying roads in a protected area without permission. Meanwhile, the authors are pinning their hopes on the upcoming hearing before the Minister of Environment. Agomana Zeitung elaborates more on the information in the article by Jeffrey Barbie and Laurel Neme in today's title page. And on page 2, the Agomana Zeitung is focusing on the Namibia Wild Horses Foundation, which was able to start the renovation of the water plant in Kharub 1 thanks to local donations. For Kharub 2, new solar panels and new pipelines were purchased so that all water points in Kharub should be well supplied in the foreseeable future, says the foundation, as well as AZ reporting a bit more on the history of the place. Stay with us as we continue with the Namibia newspaper in our newspaper review after the break.
Tourismus Namibia is a weekly tourism show that brings you the latest news in the tourism industry and topics related to that. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact tourismus@synergy.com.na for news and advertising related queries. Tourismus, bring the world to Namibia.
Continuing with the newspaper review, the Namibian newspaper reports that the finance executive of the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, Jennifer Hamukwaya, is suing the state-owned oil company for failing to extend her contract without considering her performance. Namcor's managing director, Emmanuel Mulunga, appointed Hamukwaya in April 2018 on a 5-year contract at 88,000 Namibian dollars a month. Her salary later increased to 180,000 Namibian dollars a month. Hamukwaya is considered one of Mulunga's trusted lieutenants at the National Oil Company, which is currently faced with concerns over irregularities, including a questionable payment of around 100 million Namibian dollars by Mulunga. On page 3, the loss-making state broadcaster, the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, has been allocated a budget of about 392 million Namibian dollars for the 2023-24 financial year. NBC took up the biggest chunk of the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology's 651.4 million budget allocation. NBC has been allocated an amount of 310 million Namibian dollars towards their operational budget and 82 million towards their development budget for the upgrade of the remote rural broadcast network, dilapidated studios and equipment, said Information Minister Peya Mushelenga. On to New Era, it is reported on page 1 that with less than 3 months left before Government Institutions Pension Fund CEO David Nyoma retires, the race to replace him is climaxing. According to insiders, over 40 people applied for the lucrative position, which comes with around 6 million Namibian dollars in salary and bonuses annually for managing the pensions of almost 100,000 members, making it the largest fund in the country. And on page 3, the Windhoek Regional Court said the DNA report links former National Council member Steve Biko Boyce to the rape allegations, making the state's case against him stronger than before. Magistrate Victor Nyazo made these remarks on Monday before denying Boyce bail for the 4th time. Nyazo said although Boyce had indicated his intention of challenging the DNA report, it does not take away the strong evidence in the state's docket that awaits him at trial. On to Market Watch, the Namibian economy expanded by 4.6% in 2022 compared to 3.5% recorded in 2021, according to the Namibia Statistics Agency. The last time Namibia recorded economic growth above 4% was in 2015, when the economy grew by 4.3% in value terms. The real gross domestic product was estimated at 144.1 billion Namibian dollars in 2022, relative to 137.8 billion in 2021, an expansion of 6.3 billion Namibian dollars. Now, Shell continues to fuel South Africa's aviation industry. More on this story in economic news after the break.
Sunset News is a daily news show focusing on national headlines as well as international news. If you'd like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact sunset@synergy.com.na. Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.
Heading into economic news, global energy and petrochemical group Shell plans to continue its aviation fuel operations at airports in South Africa, unlike British oil and gas plant BP. News 24 reported last week that British oil and gas plant giant BP has decided to exit all its aviation activities at South African airports. In a letter to its aviation customers dated 27 March 2023 and seen by News 24, Shell says it is aware of concerns regarding the group's position in the South African aviation market. Shell Downstream South Africa is aware of the concerns raised following the exit of an aviation fuel supplier locally and would like to confirm that there is no change to our local operating model, states the letter. Shell remains committed to the aviation supply and operations underpinned by our business control framework, policies and guidelines. Pam Tanka, a spokesperson of Shell South Africa, confirmed the letter's contents and emphasized the group's commitment to South Africa. Let's have a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar maintained its value next to the British pound, euro and US dollar, but is trading down next to the Chinese yuan at 2.63 Namibian dollars. Most NSX stock closing prices, all the ones on your screen, maintains the same value. Trustco Group Holdings and the overall index closed up 23.2% and 0.07% respectively, whilst all other stocks remained unchanged. Gold, copper and zinc all closed on upticks of 0.11, 0.27 and 1.07% respectively, whilst Brent crude oil made a downturn. South African Paralympic champion Oscar Pistorius might be released from prison this week. More news after the break.
Straight Talk is a debate competition for high school learners and a spelling competition for primary school learners, mostly focusing on current affairs among the youth. Contact Zone at synergy.com.na to share your products and services. Straight Talk. Don't raise your voice, improve your argument.
South African Paralympic champion Oscar Pistorius might be released from prison this week, a decade after he killed his girlfriend in a crime that gripped the world. A parole board is to decide whether Pistorius should be let out early after a hearing in Pretoria on Friday. Now, the board must determine whether the purpose of imprisonment has been served, said Department of Correctional Services spokesman Singabako Xumalo. Pistorius, who is now 36, shot dead Riva Steenkamp, a model, in the early hours of Valentine's Day in 2013 when he fired 4 times through the bathroom door of his ultra-secure Pretoria house. He pleaded not guilty and denied that he killed Steenkamp in a rage, saying he mistook her for a burglar. Known worldwide as the Blade Runner because of his carbon fiber prosthetics, he was sentenced to 13 years behind bars. Offenders in South Africa are automatically eligible for parole consideration after serving half of their sentence. Pistorius has served more than half, having started his term in 2014 as part of his rehabilitation. Pistorius met with Steenkamp's parents June and Barry last year in a process authorities said aims to ensure inmates acknowledge the harm they have caused to their victims and society at large. Riva's mother June will attend the hearing to make representations to the parole board, which will include both parents' victim impact statements, said Tanya Cohen, a lawyer representing the Steenkamps. June's husband Barry is unable to travel due to ill health, Cohen added. Cohen said she was not at liberty to discuss the Steenkamps' position on a possible release of their daughter's killer. They are going to make their submissions, and then obviously the law will take its course, she said. More than 100 migrants and asylum seekers gathered outside a United Nations building in Tunis on Wednesday, demanding they be repatriated or transferred to another country because of the harassment they say they have suffered in Tunisia. Most of those gathered were from Sudan and claimed to have been persecuted by Tunisians since the president, Kais Saied, lashed out at sub-Saharan African migrants last month and inveighed against a perceived plot to erase Tunisia's identity. The organization's procedures are very long. wrong. I have been in Tunisia for 5 years and have not seen anyone who obtained asylum for a country outside Tunisia and traveled. Secondly, we do not have protection in Tunisia. Now they have removed our homes and many other violations against black people coming from other black African countries, in addition to the Tunisian state that does not want our presence, said Bashir Yusuf al-Rashid, an asylum seeker from Sudan. Another protester, Saddam Abdarrahim, called the United Nations and European Union to help migrants like himself leave Tunisia to find another country to settle in. Now we'll be heading into international news shortly. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has arrived in New York to criticism from China, which warned the U.S. of serious repercussions. Tsai is transiting through the U.S. on her way to Central America, but she may meet with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on her return leg. China has condemned any such meeting and says if it goes ahead, it could lead to a serious confrontation. In response, the U.S. has said Beijing should not overreact to Tsai's trip. The U.S. hopes to see a normal, uneventful transit. The White House's national security spokesman John Kirby said on Wednesday, noting that this is Tsai's 7th transit to the U.S. during her time as Taiwan's leader. Tsai flew into New York on Wednesday, where she was greeted by competing crowds of protesters and supporters outside her hotel. She is due to fly to Guatemala and Belize this week in a visit to shore up alliances in Central America before returning through Los Angeles, where a meeting with the senior U.S. political leader could take place, U.S. outlets have reported. In response to her arrival in the U.S., China's senior envoy in Washington accused the U.S. of advocating for Taiwan's independence by allowing Tsai to make a splash in their country. No matter whether it is Taiwan leaders coming to the United States, leaders visiting Taiwan could lead to another serious confrontation in the China-U.S. relationship, said Zhu Xiaoyong, China's chargé d'affaires, in a press conference. By allowing Tsai in the U.S., Washington seriously undermines China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, Xu said. Mexican prosecutors say they have identified 8 suspects thought responsible for 38 deaths in a fire at a migrant detention center. Monday's blaze is now being investigated as a possible homicide. 5 of the suspects are reported to be security guards at the facility in Ciudad Juarez, a city on the U.S. border. Authorities face mounting pressure to explain why the victims, who come from Central and Southern America, were not freed when the fire broke out. Video footage from the scene showed ununiformed officials appearing to walk away as the blaze erupted in a corner, leaving a group of men behind in what appeared to be a locked cell. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador says those responsible would be punished in conformity with the law. Speaking at a news briefing, he insisted there would be transparency in the investigation and no impunity for those responsible for the painful tragedy. Shortly after the fire, Mr. López Obrador said the migrants had set mattresses alight when they learned that they'd be deported. However, there are reports that migrants were detained at random during a roundup, were being held in poor conditions, and were not being given enough water while in detention. The most pressing question being asked in Mexico, particularly by other migrants in Ciudad Juarez and human rights groups, is why did the guards fail to free the detainees once the blaze had begun? We'll be heading into football news as we start off with local sports after the break.
Chill Sessions is an entertainment show that brings you the latest hit, fashion, and entertainment news. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact chill at synergy.com.na. Chill Sessions, bringing art and entertainment to the people.
We'll actually be starting with some cricket. Papua New Guinea had to chase 382 runs for victory versus Namibia yesterday, putting up a gallant performance despite the mammoth task. The visitors ended with 333 runs for the loss of all wickets in 46.2 overs. Playing in front of their home fans, this was the Richelieu Eagles' first victory in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier playoff against PNG. More than 1,100 learners from 11 Namibian schools, as well as 3 schools from South Africa and Zimbabwe, who will participate in the 9th edition of the Indongo Toyota Desert Sports Festival from 29 March to 1 April in Walvis Bay. The Desert Sports Festival is about providing an opportunity for players to compete and enjoy themselves and build friendships amongst visiting schools. After a disappointing announcement that his fight against Australia's Luke Boyd was postponed due to a last-minute injury, Philippus Energy Nyitumba will now face an even tougher opponent as he heads to the Philippines to face Jean-Riel Casimero on 13 May. Nyitumba will defend his WBO Global Super Bantamweight title against Casimero, who is a 3-division former world champion. We'll be heading into the international sports shortly. The Bulls Champions Cup, lost 16 trips to Toulouse on Sunday, will have additional significance for the French club Springboks loose forward Reinhard Elstad. The 33-year-old spent 7 seasons at the Pretoria-based outfit's fiercest opponents, the Stormers, before heading to the top 14 Giants in 2017. Arsenal goes into April firmly positioned at the top of the table with an 8-point lead over defending champions Manchester City. But City has a game in hand and they will hope to use that to shorten the gap. The race for Champions League spots will equally be as intense between Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle United. Liverpool's recent revival means they too will see a place in Europe's elite club competition as a realistic goal. And FIFA has extended bans imposed on past and present Juventus officials to apply worldwide, the soccer governing body said on Wednesday, with Tottenham Hotspur's current managing director of football Fabio Paratici among the individuals affected by the move. In January, Serie A's Juventus were deducted 15 points for the season by an Italian soccer court investigating the club's transfer dealings and finances. If you're just joining us, worry not. Your highlights from this afternoon's broadcast follow after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and Oneuptwo.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Ohole So Nice is an entertainment show brought to you by the youth for the youth. This is a dating show that allows individuals to participate and be their own true selves. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. Let's have a look at the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast. South African Paralympic champion Oscar Pistorius might be released from prison this week, a decade after he killed his girlfriend in a crime that gripped the world. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen has arrived in New York to criticism from China, which warned the U.S. of serious repercussions. Tsai is transiting through the U.S. on her way to Central America, but she may meet with U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on her return leg. After a disappointing announcement that his fight against Australia's Luke Boyd was postponed due to a last-minute injury, Philippus Energy Nyitumba will now face an even tougher opponent as he heads to the Philippines to face Jean-Riel Casimero on 13 May. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world. From me, Ashwin Bedi, have a good afternoon.